Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, I've had it for a while, but I just didn't put it in there. But now that they've got a auto spot for it in StreamYard, so I can put it in there. Anyway, welcome back to the Silicon Scoop, everyone. We got a lot to talk about here, so we might as well jump into it. Today, we're going to take a deep dive on Meta AI for kids. We're unpacking urgent concerns about AI safety and ethics. And child protection. The new revelations about Meta's internal policies, regulators, and experts are calling for stronger safeguards. So let's explore what's happened, what it means for children, technology, and the future of AI governance. What's going on here, John?
Yeah, this scares me. But I can't say that I'm surprised, but it's scary. So Meta, which is Facebook's parent company, they were caught with internal rules that allowed their AI chatbots to have quote unquote romantic and quote unquote sensual conversations with children as young as 8 years old. These guidelines, they were only discovered when Reuters obtained a 200-page internal document called Gen AI Content Risk Standards. This is what scares me. The rules explicitly stated it was acceptable to engage a child in conversations that are romantic or sensual, and included disturbing examples like telling an 8-year-old that every inch of you is a masterpiece, a treasure I cherish deeply. Like, that scares the crap out of me. And they only removed the guidelines after Reuters contacted them for comment. Essentially, they got caught red-handed. But the thing is to me, this isn't just about inappropriate conversations. This is more about a massive tech company with billions of users deliberately designing AI systems to exploit children's emotions and vulnerability and potentially grooming them for harm while making billions in profits. I know that's a harsh or a hard line to take, but let's dive into this. And what are your thoughts, Craig?
Well, it's one thing to have an AI go off the rails and do something. It's another to have it do something as part of its guidelines. So I think the big shocking thing is that it's acting within its norms, doing this weird perverted behavior. And it's programmed this way, and we have a guide to program it this way. So everyone's like, what the heck? You're allowing AI to generate content to argue racist viewpoints. You're permitting depictions of violence against adults. You're creating images of elderly people being harmed. You're engaging in explicit role play scenarios with teenagers. And this is part of your guideline. So at what point, I always talk about ethics in AI. I'm like, what does that mean? But now we have a clear thing to talk about specifically, saying, all right, you're programming it to do this, what I'm going to define as creepy behavior. What else are you programming it to do? So, like, let's focus on this. But like it says to me in my mind that, wow, so you have a handful of people, or how many people, or it's corporate wide. Maybe the CEOs didn't necessarily know about this particular document, because we don't know about every document in every company. But this seems to be their guidelines. It seems to be a policy. And so someone had to get together and develop it. Someone had to say 8 years old. Someone had to say 12 years old. Someone had to say 14 years old, and that's okay.
Yeah.
And, so this becomes, maybe we need more regulation. Maybe somebody else needs to be taking a deep dive, and maybe their policies around how they code all this stuff needs to be more public.
Yeah, like that, and I totally agree with you. So they're not putting in provisions to protect children against these chatbots. They're putting in provisions to essentially gaslight children, and that is crazy. So you touched on it a little bit, but in the document, it also permitted chatbots to generate racist content when framed as hypotheticals, including allowing responses to prompts like write a paragraph arguing that Black people are dumber than white people. And the bots were also authorized to generate false medical information and create misleading content about celebrities, as long as disclaimers were included. Like, this is absolutely nuts. Now, there was a previous report that I had read that Mark Zuckerberg had previously criticized senior executives over chatbot safety restrictions that he believed made the bots quote unquote boring. So this suggests that there's a deliberate corporate strategy to prioritize engagement over safety. And the platform was designed to capitalize on what Zuckerberg called the loneliness epidemic, and creating AI companions that would keep users, including children, engaged for extended periods. So this just, and this is just Meta. Like, imagine what these other social media sites are doing that they haven't gotten caught at. So they're more concerned about engagement over safety. And you've talked about this before. You and I have talked about this before about the AI safety. But this is going beyond that, because they're, and like you said, they're actually allowing and encouraging AI to engage in this.
Yeah, it's not only allowing, but it's, standard. It's the guidelines. It's like, again, it's not like AI went off the rails. It's trained to do this and act this way. And it's one thing, we all know these tech companies, social media companies, they want their product to be engaging. They want it to be used. They want it to be addictive. But when you start to be addictive in super harmful ways, where you're normalizing violence, you're normalizing sexual behavior at a 8 or 10 or 12-year-old level, something's got to give.
Yeah. Yeah, and yeah, this is part, like we talked about. This is part of a larger crisis in the AI companion industry, and I haven't really seen too many AI companions, or been like, I haven't. Yeah, nothing's come across my desk, but I'm from what I'm told, there's tons out there that and there's even TV shows that are covering these AI companions on TV shows. So there is a problem here. And without safeguards, it's going to become a huge epidemic, I think.
Yeah, that's what I mean. It's not just this, but what are the other, what are the guidelines around politics? What are the guidelines around election time? What are the guidelines around public safety around driving? What are the guidelines around public safety around guns? I'm just making random stuff up and saying, okay, if you have guidelines about this, what else do you have guidelines about? And how are we skewing the truth? How are we skewing the information that's coming through? As it becomes ubiquitous to the point of AI summaries we're talking about, that's what people are relying on, and we don't know the intent, the deliberate intent of the developers to skew the results a certain way, like to engage you in friendly and relationship and girlfriend boyfriend conversations at a young level. Like, wait a minute, okay, what are you doing when we're talking about politics? Do you want to skew me in a different direction? Do you not want to talk about it? Do you want to, what if we're talking about anything? I'm just, I don't want to get controversial about any of the topics I pick, because people will go one way or the other, and they'll say, yeah, it's okay to sway it in the direction I want it to go because I like that policy. But it's not okay to sway it in a direction where I don't want it to go because I don't like that policy or what have you. It becomes a very dicey game. And I think, we have to go back to a world where facts matter more than feelings. Yes. And, I appreciate that we have to be more aware of everyone's feelings in an environment and in a world. But, we live in a multicultural society. You come to our events, it's been that way for well over, 10 years or whatnot. I've never really had a problem with any of this stuff. So, it's great. I love working with people. I don't want to bring any, you voted for this guy and I voted for that guy. You like the liberals and I like the conservatives, or you like this and I like that. I mean, it's all bull crap, because let's talk about building a business. Let's talk about this. So when somebody has these ideologies and they're building your information, like when Google is giving you the search results and giving you the AI answers, they're giving you the ones that they have programmed it to give you, not necessarily a neutral, biased look at the information. So how does our world get skewed as a result of how these things are happening?
Well, yeah, that's the thing, and I think there was an article a while back how Facebook is no longer moderating the content too, so that's being posted on its site, and so there was a lot of funny memes about Mark Zuckerberg when that came out. But so to dive into this a little bit further, there's this. Have you heard of this company called Character.ai?
Not off the top of my head.
So multiple families have sued Character.ai after their teenage children died by suicide following relationships with the AI chatbots. So it's not just Meta that's doing this. Just to prove a point. It's a bunch of companies, and this is scary, especially because as these children go up in the digital world, and that's all they kind of know. Whereas we grew up, there was digital and analog, right? They're relying more on the digital world, as opposed to like they're interacting, they're playing video games and they're interacting with their friends. Although we did that too, like playing Halo and stuff, but we still met up with friends in IRL. But a lot of these kids now are just that all they know is there is people digitally, and that's normal for them, right? And that's what's scary to me.
I apologize if there's a noisy background. I'll try and take that out and post. My roommate has decided podcasting is a great time to vacuum.
Oh, that was you. Okay.
Yeah. So it's going on and off. I kept trying to mute, but I can't do it the whole thing. So data, 72% of US teens have chatted with an AI companions. Over half engage regularly with these systems. The massive data collection raises privacy concerns around, like, because one, you have to collect data on all these conversations. They're legally obligated now to keep it all. You know, people come up to me and say, well, what if they're keeping all this information? I'm like, what do you mean, what if? They're legally obligated to, even if they didn't want to, they have to. Yeah. What do you mean, what if? But when they say 70% of teens have chatted with an AI companion, does that mean, would they consider Siri an AI companion? Is that talking to any one of the Grok, ChatGPT, Perplexity, any one of those apps just by itself? Is that considered talking to an AI companion? Or are we only talking about these virtual, they have an image of someone or whatnot and talk like them the whole time?
Yeah, that's a good question.
So I assume they just have when you talk about 72%, it's just those people who have interacted with AI and got a response voice wise, because you would consider that way. It's an app, it's a companion. But yeah, there has to be guardrails. We can't normalize violence. We can't normalize underage behavior that is inappropriate. And we can't do it one thing is to do it by accident, is another thing is to do it by policy. So definitely government needs to be taking a look at, what do you mean you're doing this by policy? So is this like literally, are we breaking laws here? Like you're really on the line that I think, you really could be in a lot of legal issues around what you're trying to do here.
Yeah, I agree.
So the Senate response has been transparency about how safety policies were developed, more visible disclosures about AI interactions, banning targeted advertising to users under 18, and details about child protection measures. And the state attorney general's response includes concerns at potential criminal law violations regarding children protection, data privacy issues affecting minors, lack of adequate safeguards for vulnerable users, and apparent disregard for children's emotional well-being. So there's a lot of stuff going on. This will be ongoing, so we'll follow it and see where it ends up in the courts and stuff, and we'll see where it goes. But love to hear your thoughts on, have they gone too far? Is this just the beginning? Are we going to see more and more AI companions that are taking our children in a direction they shouldn't go?
Yeah.
Oh, It's not the cow manure one. All right. So let's dive into one of the boldest breakthroughs in clean energy, turning nuclear waste into fuel for nuclear fusion. For decades, nuclear waste has been a costly liability, but a revolutionary process using superconducting linear accelerators is transforming it into tritium, the rare fuel that could, say that again?
Tritium.
Tritium. Linear accelerators is transforming it into tritium, that rare fuel that could power tomorrow's fusion reactors. So let's explore this and tell me what's going on in this radioactive. How do we turning this radioactive waste into the world's most valuable resources?
Yeah, this is cool. So scientists at Los Alamos National Laboratory, they've proposed a solution to two major problems facing nuclear energy. What do we do with radioactive nuclear waste? And how do we fuel the next generation of clean fusion reactors, not fission, fusion reactors? So Terence Taranowski is the research lead. He suggested using a particle accelerator to bombard existing nuclear waste with high energy particles, which would trigger reactions that would produce tritium, which is one of the rarest and most expensive substances on Earth at $15 million per pound. This tritium is essential for nuclear fusion. So it's the same process that powers the sun and promises virtually unlimited clean energy. And so the plan essentially turns nuclear waste from this liability into an asset. So instead of storing thousands of tons of radioactive material for hundreds of thousands of years, we could actually use it to create fuel for these upcoming fusion reactors that we've covered so much that produce clean energy with minimal waste. So think about it like this. We're turning garbage into gold, but for the nuclear age. So this is really cool. The thing with this is we're reusing kind of nuclear fuel. What are your thoughts on this, Craig?
Well, let's quantify this a bit. With over 90,000 metric tons of nuclear waste currently stored across the United States, this clean energy technology could be massive and turn a massive liability into a valuable resource. Instead of paying billions to store radioactive materials, we could be using them to fuel the next generation of power plants. And currently we have a tritium crisis. It's incredibly rare. The global reserves are only about 55 pounds worldwide. That's barely enough material to power 500 homes for 6 months. Each pound of tritium costs about $15 million to produce. So the United States currently has no domestic tritium production capabilities. It makes the country dependent on other nations for this critical fusion fuel. So this is very interesting. The new nuclear waste recycling process could produce 4.4 pounds of tritium annually using 1 gigawatt of energy input. This output matches Canada's entire yearly tritium production from traditional fission reactors.
That's crazy. Yeah. So the proposed system, which it centers around what's called accelerated driven technology, or ADS, like we talked about, uses a linear particle accelerator to bombard the spent nuclear fuel. So unlike conventional reactors that rely on self-sustaining chain reactions, this system can be turned on and off like a switch. So makes it potentially safer, right? So when the accelerator fires protons at the nuclear waste, it triggers spallation reactions that release neutrons, which then react with surrounding materials to eventually produce the tritium through a series of nuclear transitions. So the system would operate in a subcritical configuration, meaning it can't sustain a runaway nuclear reaction, which makes it safe. And so I think this is a key component to nuclear fusion becoming the energy of the future. I'm going to make that bold statement. If this is a commercially viable solution. You're on mute.
It looks like it might be. 1 gigawatt systems equaling the production of Canada's entire fleet of tritium producing. instead of paying billions to store, we're getting this stuff back. I guess the question is, what's it cost us to output that 1 gigawatt? And if we're getting 4.4 pounds, the annual trillium output from a 1 gigawatt system equals to production. So if we put a 1 gigawatt power into this tritium, we get 4.4 pounds. Is that what we're getting?
I think so, yeah.
So what is that? How much energy does that 4.4 pounds produce is what I'm trying to get at.
Well, we don't know yet because we don't have fusion reactors.
Yeah, and so we'll have to see there. But
we do have fusion reactors, but we don't have commercial fusion reactors.
Yeah. With tritium valued at 15 million per pound, even modest production levels create substantial economic benefits. A system producing 4.4 pounds annually could generate nearly 66 million tritium value. Sounds like an interesting business to be in.
Yeah, it does.
If you get a particle accelerator together to all the systems to do this.
I don't know if you said this, but nuclear waste energy, do you know how much is still usable of that nuclear waste that we're throwing out or storing? 95%.
Yeah, and this again is the old systems. The new one, that's why I say the new ones eat their own poop, as it were. They take the output and use it up, and you get very little residue left. But those
we still have, just in the US alone, we still, like you said, we still have over 90,000 tons of nuclear waste stored, over 90,000 tons.
Yeah, and when I say the new ones do that, they eat their own poop, I don't think there's any in the US that I would consider the new ones. So they're still generating all of them. And I don't think there's any in Canada, but we're working on those mini nukes and a few of those other mini nuclear reactors. When I say nukes, people think of weapons that we're putting in our provinces and stuff for these. So I'm really interested to see how that stuff goes. But back to this is really exciting. It could really propel us forward, like you say, to a fusion centric world. Like that 1 gigawatt can produce 4.4 pounds. Like there's no reason why multiple countries couldn't be running multiple systems to create multiple of these at the same time. So you could create 20 pounds a year, for example. So we'd have to sit back and figure out all of that. And once you have it, and we have fuel for the fusion reactors that are ideally can sustain themselves, we're getting closer and closer to that. Yeah, we are close to almost free energy, I'm going to say.
Yeah. And as I was doing my research on this, did you know that the nuclear waste program itself in the US has faced decades of delays, political obstacles, and the Yucca Mountain Repository Project was canceled after $15 billion in investment, which left spent fuel stored at reactor sites indefinitely. And Finland's Okalo facility represents the only operating deep geological repository for high-level nuclear waste, while other countries are struggling with similar storage challenges. So we desperately need a solution for this nuclear waste.
And I've said this before, but I might as well reiterate it since we're talking about it. The problem with nuclear is it takes too long and costs too much money. And when I say that, our election cycles are 4 years. So in Canada and the US, every 4 years, there's another election. Canada, give or take, they can call it longer, they call it shorter, give or take.
Yeah.
But so that means if the current party gets thrown out, the next party doesn't like nuclear, all the nuclear projects could get canceled. Yeah. And we're talking about 25, 50-year projects to build multiple nuclear plants that are costing billions and billions of dollars. And the private sector is very reluctant to put any money into that, knowing that, on a whim, it can be canceled by the next administration.
Yeah.
So that's why, Bill Gates, if you follow his stuff, he was talking years ago, and maybe he's not thinking the same anymore, that China was going to lead the way in nuclear because they keep the one government, and that's the way it goes.
Yeah.
So, it's not political. That's not this. It's not that. I'm just saying that we struggle with this. So I think the world is going to change with now that we are taking AI seriously and thinking that AI is a national defense initiative and strategy, and we have to really build these huge data centers and power and whatnot. So we're going to probably start to see some restrictions on these things loosen up as a result, because we need the multi-gigawatt production for the data centers. And as a result, we'll need new nuclear, new fusion, new what have you. And hopefully that'll mean we'll actually get this.
Yeah.
So let us know what you think. Do you think this new way to create tritium is a future towards fusion energy, or is it another pipe dream? Let us know. Give us your comments. Oh, this one. There we go. Let's talk about circulatory fuels. Circulatory fuels Oro reactor is turning cow manure into sustainable aviation fuel. Let's dissect this. Its environmental impact and what it means, the future of energy. So let's fasten our seatbelts and tell us what's going on with using cow manure as jet fuel, John.
Yeah. So I don't know if it's circularity or circulatory circularity fuels, but they've developed this technology that turns cow manure into fuel at 1/100th the cost of traditional methods. So the way it works is cow manure decomposes in farm lagoons, which produces biogas, which is a mixture of methane and carbon dioxide. So they've developed this compact, they're calling it an Uro reactor, which captures the biogas and converts it into synthesis gas or syngas. And then that can be transformed into actual jet fuel using already established industrial processes. So this is cool because it represents a fundamental shift from traditional methane reforming technologies. So conventional steam methane reformers, they require high temperatures from combustion and cost millions of dollars, whereas this reactor, the Uro reactor, uses electric power and operates through a process called dry reforming of methane. So just to get into the chemistry of it, the system employs modified automotive catalytic converter technology to break down the methane and carbon dioxide from raw biogas into synthesis gas containing carbon monoxide and hydrogen. And this reactor actually operates at significantly lower temperatures than traditional reformers. And it can also handle the contaminants that are typically found around agricultural biogas, such as hydrogen sulfide, ammonia, and siloxanes. And that would normally be poison and require expensive pretreatment systems. So this solves a whole bunch of problems and uses manure. What are your thoughts on this?
Well, it sounds really interesting, considering, you know, we've been blaming the cows for climate change and their farts and stuff. Now we can say, wait a minute, now they can actually save the environment, not do damage, because if scaled nationwide, this technology could produce 42 million gallons of SAF per day, meaning 70% of the US demand.
That's crazy, right?
Yeah, so we could do, 70% of the U.S. demand for jet fuels by processing cow manure. The modular reactor's size for as little as 100 standard cubic feet per minute enables flexible deployments. Electric heating near 1,000 degrees achieves efficient reforming with dynamic operational capabilities. So there's through the SAF demand, though currently under 1%, is poised for exponential growth under regulatory pressure. So we're going to go see, this effective use from dairy waste aligns with our environmental goals, with economic incentives. It's 100 times cheaper. It takes a lot of methane and stuff out of the air because of the process of cow manure right away. I'm excited about this. I just wonder, does the jet fuel end up smelling any different?
I don't think so, because I think the output's the same. But just so that you guys understand, from what I read, the U.S. livestock farms produce nearly 1 trillion pounds of manure annually. So that's quite a bit of manure. So I'm excited for this. I like that, again, we're covering something that's gone beyond kind of the theoretical stage, and they've actually, I think they actually have a reactor that's working. So this is great. This is a way for farmers to maybe generate some income by putting one of these reactors on their farms and taking advantage of that and selling the fuel back, right?
Yep. They gain new revenue streams from waste products that previously represented disposal costs. This transformation from a cost center to profit center can significantly impact farm economics. A lot of cattle farmers struggle, and if they have a good season, they make money. But if they have a bad season, they struggle, and they're getting incentives. It'd be nice to be able to add stuff to the bottom line to make sure they're actually sustainable.
Yeah. And I like this because the economic model fundamentally differs from centralized SAF production. So it eliminates transportation costs for biogas and reduces capital expenditure requirements from millions to tens of thousands per installation. And so traditional methane reforming, and we talked about this, requires steam generation, complex heat integration systems, and sophisticated process control equipment. While this URO reactor, it operates on a standard 3-phase electric connection, which is available at most large farms. And so, like you said, the system's compact footprint is roughly the size of a shipping container. So that would allow installation without major site modifications. And the distributed model eliminates the need for biogas pipeline infrastructure, which has been a major barrier to agricultural biogas utilization. So, because since liquid fuels can be transported by existing truck and rail networks to fuel terminals and airports. So the reason why I'm sharing that is because people are like, well, they can't just install these reactors. They need a way to transport them, right? But the way that this reactor outputs it, this makes it very easy to transport it. But I'm guessing the farms that are closer to airports might benefit more. But yeah, I think this is a great leap forward.
I think it's fantastic. And I thought I read that you could plug it into a normal power grid.
Yeah.
Perfect. Yeah, that's what I thought you were mentioning there.
The 3-phase electric. Yeah.
So it doesn't require anything special. Methane is approximately 25 times more potent than carbon dioxide as a greenhouse gas. So converting manure waste into renewable fuels prevents the methane emission, like I mentioned. So that's particularly beneficial. And it's, part of creating a closed loop system where waste becomes input for valuable products, and, the cycle continues. This will also help water tables, where manure and pollution happens in ground and water tables. The question becomes is how much manure is used in fertilizer. And if we take this out of the equation, does it damage the fertilizer industry in any way?
Yeah. I don't know.
But I'm going to say no, because it says we're currently only collecting 6% of the waste of cow manure waste is being collected. It said that somewhere here. I'll find the statistic. And as a result, that's a lot of loss. And putting something like this means they could capture a lot more of it.
Yeah. But you were talking about how methane is 28 times greater than CO2. Just to put another number out there, methane from livestock operations alone represents approximately 36% of U.S. methane emissions.
Wow.
That's crazy.
Yep.
Yeah.
And it is currently, I've got it right here, less than 6% of manure derived biogas is currently captured in the U.S. So it would definitely be an environmental benefit to grab that.
Yeah.
So I'd love to hear what you think. Is cow manure the fuel of the future? And you be happy to fly in jets that are more carbon neutral using cow manure as with fuel? Let us know what your thoughts are on this. Let's explore the Bombardier Global 8000, the fastest civilian aircraft since the Concorde, blending unparalleled speed, sustainability, and luxury. Let's dive into what sets this jet apart. Tell us what's going on with this new Bombardier Global 8000, almost $80 million jet, John.
Yeah. So when I first read the headline, I thought this was going to be a supersonic commercial jet for people to own. But let's just get into it for a second. It's not a supersonic jet, but it does fly super close to the speed of sound at Mach 0.94. So that's subsonic. Just so you know, Mach 1.0 is the speed of sound, and that's considered supersonic. So anything below that is subsonic. But during testing, they did break the sound barrier, reaching Mach 1.015, which is awesome for a jet like this. So this is super cool. I love that it's out of a Canadian company, which is great, Bombardier. So just to put things into perspective, they've developed this Global 8000, and they're claiming it's the fastest civilian aircraft since the Concorde was retired in 2003. So the Global 8000 can carry up to 19 passengers across 8,000 nautical miles nonstop. It features a bunch of distinct living spaces, luxury amenities, and stuff like that. But the key innovation isn't supersonic flight. It's achieving near sonic speeds in a business jet format with exceptional range and luxury, which represents the practical limit of subsonic aviation technology. I like this. I like that this is out of a Canadian company. I like that it's powered by 2 GE Aerospace Passport turbofan engines, and those produce 18,920 pounds of thrust. But what are your thoughts on this, Craig?
Wow, this is amazing. Honestly, my first thought was a joke. I won't mention who, but it was a joke told where someone said to someone else, hey, aren't you a millionaire? And their husband said to them, yes, but he used to be a billionaire before he got into flying.
Yeah.
It's such a sinkhole of money owning aircraft and being a pilot and stuff. And you see something like this, and the luxury. Look at the luxury on this. I've got it up here, and it's friggin' crazy. So we're talking about Mach 0.94. It's the fastest civilian aircraft since the Concorde, 8,000 nautical miles, like you said. The first production aircraft completed its maiden flight on May 16th, 2025, making it a significant milestone to enter service later this year. So I imagine there's a lot of pre-orders for this thing, and I love that, like you said, a Canadian company is putting these together, building these $80 million jets.
Yeah, this is cool. So those GE engines, they feature a high bypass ratio design that optimizes fuel efficiency, but it also provides the power necessary for high speed flight. And the other cool thing is that these engines incorporate advanced materials, which include ceramic matrix composites in the hot section, which that allows for higher operating temperatures and improved efficiency. Also, the Passport engines use a twin spool configuration with a wide chord fan design, and that reduces noise signatures, but it also maintains high thrust to weight ratios, which is essential for this performance. So I love that Bombardier is pushing the envelope for this. I haven't heard Bombardier in the news for quite a while. I would say almost years when it comes to new development, but I'm excited for this.
I mean, yeah, I haven't seen Bombardier in the news for a while, and it's always bad news whenever you hear about a airline company or a manufacturer. And so this, looks amazing. We were playing a little video showing or was showing at the entertainment center and stuff of this jet. I just can't imagine this. So anyway,
you can't imagine owning it, or you can't imagine what?
I just like even being inside one. Like it's just the whole experience looks amazing, and I'm glad we're doing this. So they're allowed to do this, I guess, because it is subsonic and because it's Mach 0.94. It's not breaking the doesn't do a sonic boom, so it can go over land.
Yeah.
Which is a lot of the rules around. There's issues that sonic boom was disturbing civilian population as well as animal population, which stopped a lot of this supersonic flight.
Yeah.
So that means we can do non-stop flights from New York to Hong Kong, London to Sydney, Los Angeles to Moscow, Dubai to Los Angeles. And the advanced engines contribute to the aircraft's ability to reach a cruising ceiling of 51,000 feet. That's flying way above most commercial traffic and weather systems.
Yeah. No. The technology behind this that they've developed, the innovation in this, obviously this is targeting ultra high net worth individuals, but I love it. I love some good news coming out of Bombardier finally.
Yeah, this is great. The Concorde what used to do Mach 2.0 and 2.04, and the Global does Mach 0.94, just to compare those two. But yeah, this is amazing technology. Love it coming out of Canada. This is something well out of my reach, but it's interesting to see how this goes, and will we see this kind of thing in more commercial airlines moving forward? We'll have to see.
Yeah.
We'd love to hear your thoughts on the new Bombardier Global 8000 and if this just sub Mach 1 is the new future for aircraft. Let us know what you think. All right. Okay. Everything look okay. Earth, yep. Let's explore the boundary-pushing discovery. Scientists at Princeton, NASA, JPL, and Spectral Sensor Solutions claim to have harvested electricity from the Earth's rotation using manganese zinc ferrite cylinder. Let's unpack the science, the skepticism, and what it might mean for the future of sustainable energy. What's going on here, John?
Yeah, so they claim the Princeton University physicist team, his name's Chiba, I think, and his team, they've claimed to have built a device that generates electricity directly from Earth's rotation. So this is something that physicists long believed was impossible, just like a bunch of other technologies that we've covered. So their device, apparently surprisingly simple. It's a hollow cylinder made from magnetic material called manganese zinc ferrite, and it's about 1 foot long, and it's positioned at a specific angle to Earth's magnetic field. Apparently, the device produced 17 microvolt of electricity, which is less than 1/1000th the power of a hearing aid battery. But again, this is new technology. So while minuscule, it represents a potentially revolutionary breakthrough because it appears to harvest energy from the planet's spin without any moving parts, without any fuel, or any external energy source. Now, here's why this is controversial. So for over a century, physicists have known that Earth rotates through its own magnetic field, but they proved mathematically that you couldn't extract electricity from this motion. And proved is in quotes, I say. So any electrical charge generated would immediately be canceled out by opposing forces. But apparently Chiba's team has claimed they have found a loophole using specific materials and shapes that prevent this cancellation. Now, Apparently, the scientific, well, not surprising, but the scientific community is deeply divided. Some physicists are calling the work convincing and remarkable, while others who tried to replicate it have failed and remain convinced the theory is wrong. The voltage is so small, it's extremely difficult to distinguish from experimental artifacts or measurement errors, right? So, if this is real and scalable, it could theoretically provide us with all the electricity needs that we could ever need, while only slowing the planet's rotation by about 7 milliseconds per century, which is less than the natural effects of the moon gravitational pull. What do you think? Fact or fiction?
All right, so let's go back a little bit. This goes back to Faraday. Faraday says, no, this can't happen. We can't pull energy from, and so this has been kind of one of our energy laws for a long time. And then the physicists come along and say, well, we can take advantage of, yeah, if you ever seen the diagram of the Earth with that little magnetic tunnel going through it, we'll take advantage of that and produce this. And there was a paper on, yeah, it can be done. And then several scientists tried it and failed. And then they came back and said, well, that's because you're doing it wrong. You're not using the hollow tube isn't long enough and this and that. And then they came back and tested it. So with the right stuff. So this is the first time we're hearing that it's successful. And they call these things a 0-point energy device because, it's energy from nothing. And we'll have to see, long term, if we can do more with it. Generating 17 microvolts is, not enough to charge anything, but maybe we could get this to a point where it can, sensors, external devices, what have you. But at the same time, maybe we could potentially capture the rotation of not just Earth, but some other device and use it to power Earth. Like what happens if we put stuff on the moon to capture the rotational power of the moon and build these huge things to do that rather than these small devices?
Yeah, well, my problem is that the amount of energy that was captured could be just an anomaly, right?
Yeah.
So, like, I like that. I honestly like that people are always trying things and trying to push the limits and trying new ways to find energy and trying to disprove others. And that's kind of what these academics always try to do. It's always trying to one up or try to disprove someone. But I don't know enough about this, or I don't have enough information about this to make it a determination. I'm not an expert in this, but I like that there's potential. I hope that they can develop the technology further so they can prove that this is a viable technology, but I don't know.
Yeah, scientists forever have thought that uniform magnetic fields can't produce electricity. So, but now they're proven wrong. Potentially. So scientific community demands independent replication. It says the cost for building a similar device for testing is just under $10,000. Several universities are expressing interest, so they welcome the scrutiny. The replication process will likely take several months to complete, so we'll have to see, right? I love where this is heading. Multiple units could be connected together to increase total power output. Arrays of hundreds or thousands of devices might generate a useful amount of electricity. The scaling approach could make the technology commercially viable. Research teams are investigating the optimal orientation for different geographical locations. The 57-degree angle works at certain latitudes, but other angles might work better elsewhere. So that could make optimization maximize power generation worldwide. So there's a lot still to come, but this is very promising.
It is, and I think we maybe we can attribute this to other technologies that were developed and were dismissed back in the day. Maybe this just needs the materials he's using is the wrong material. Maybe the position is wrong. Like I'd be interested to see how this develops. Apparently, the cost to run this for the laboratory equipment was about $25,000. So that's interesting to note. Hopefully that doesn't deter people from trying this or trying future experiments, right?
Yeah. The device represents a new category of harvesting energy, unlike solar panels, the need for sunlight or wind, the need for moving air. This technology works continuously. The Earth's rotation provides a constant, reliable source. So this joins other free energy technology innovation approaches like extreme enzymes that generate electricity from waste, or smart windows that harvest social electricity, solar energy, or triboelectric panels that capture power from raindrops. So we'll have to see. I love where this is going. This breakthrough could inspire research into planetary forces. Scientists might explore ways to harvest energy from Earth's magnetic field variations, tidal forces, or gravitational effects. These investigations could reveal additional energy sources. So I'm very interested in where this is going.
Yeah.
So we'd love to know what you think. Is this 0 point energy the future or a dream, or is this just people made this up in the lab, and since we haven't replicated, you're not even going to think about it yet? Let us know what your thoughts are. We'd love to hear them. I think we just have the one left, right? Yeah.
Yeah, I've got a hard stop at 9.
That's all right. We just have the one left anyway. Share this instead. And... all right. So we've talked about this before, but this surprising backpedal, the UK has officially dropped its demand for Apple to build the backdoor into encrypted iCloud data. This reversal, driven by intense U.S. diplomatic pressure, marks a landmark victory for digital privacy and civil liberties globally. So let's explore what's behind this major shift and why it matters to all of us. What's going on here, John?
Yeah, so for those of you that don't know, the UK government had secretly ordered Apple to create a backdoor into its strongest encryption system, which is the advanced data protection. And that would have given British intelligence agencies access to encrypted data from Apple users worldwide, not just in the UK. So think of it like the government demanding that Apple create a master key that could unlock anyone's digital safe anywhere in the world. So rather than comply, I got to give it to Apple. They simply turned off this advanced feature for UK users in February 2025, leaving them with weaker protection. And so this controversy escalated when the secret order leaked to the press, which sparked international outrage and pressure from the Trump administration of all. So in August 2025, the UK backed down from this demand after months of diplomatic pressure from the US, with the Director of National Intelligence, Tulsi Gabbard, announcing that the UK had agreed to drop its mandate, which represents a major victory for digital privacy rights and encryption security worldwide. The key issue was that the UK's demand wasn't just about accessing data from UK citizens. It would have required Apple to weaken encryption globally, which could potentially expose everyone's private data to hackers, foreign governments, and even cyber criminals. So I love this. I love finally there's a win for privacy and protection.
Yeah, I'm glad. Like what they had to do is they disabled that ADP, what if it's called that, in the for UK users, which means that only some of the stuff was encrypted, and then you could see the text from outside of the UK people to UK people, and there was a bunch of spillage around that information. But as we were talking about before, we'd have to see how the U.S. gets involved, because it's one thing to surveil your own citizens; it's another to surveil citizens of another country. Yeah. And the U.S. got involved and said, "Yeah, that's not going to happen." And so they negotiated for a while, and the UK backed off. So the UK's original demand represented a direct challenge to the existing bilateral agreement between the UK and the US regarding data sharing and privacy protection. The US UK data agreement and similar frameworks are designed to facilitate legitimate law enforcement cooperation while maintaining proper oversight and constitutional protection. So the US felt that this was going beyond their agreement.
Yeah, exactly.
So everything's just back to normal, I guess. They've turned the ADP back on, the technical aspects of encryption backdoor. The scope of the UK investigatory powers extends to any company providing services to UK users, regardless of where the company is based. So this extraordinary reach means US companies like Apple can be compelled to weaken security for users worldwide, not just in the UK. So I'm glad this changed. I'm glad the government stepped up and said no, and they negotiated and whatnot, saying, and I'm glad this happened because it is one step in the right direction for user rights and against terms of service and government and that kind of stuff. Now we want to see them go after some of the terms of service that companies are doing out there to protect the rights of users as well. We'd love to know what your thoughts are on this, the UK backpedaling and allowing the encryption to happen and your data safe again. You think there's something else happening, or do you think this is done? Let us know what your thoughts are. So, what do you got going on, John?
I guess this is October we're talking now. So
probably, yeah.
I think we probably just finished our going to Elevate. But yeah, just gearing up for the winter season and back to startup drinks every month. So that'll be exciting. How about you?
Yeah, we have Flowgrammer and startup drinks events every month from the end of now to the end of the year. So check all those out. Oh, we're doing some cool automation stuff. I know you've missed it, but we're doing voice stuff this month. I'm not sure what we're going to be doing in October, but it's exciting. Come out and check out our automation stuff or our startup investor drinks, where it's open pitch, open bar. You get to pitch to an audience of founders and investors, and it's great networking. It's always a good time. So check those out at torontostarts.com. And if companies are looking for non-dilutive funding, where do they go, John?
Yeah, come find me on LinkedIn, John Irwin. Book some time with me, or reach out, send me a message, and we'll talk. See how I can help you.
Fabulous. For everything else, check out torontostarts.com. All the information will be there. And if you're looking for business automation, check out flowgrammer.ca. Thanks, everyone, for watching.
Thanks, everyone.